Roseland. I am Jordan and he is Brian, and we are here this week to discuss our Montreal Canadiens. We have hit the halfway point of the season, and I should mention at the beginning of this, despite the fact that it's an afternoon game, we're still not going to be able to cover the Sunday game against Dallas. So this is actually kind of works out still, Brian, for us that it's exactly at 41 games that we're doing this kind of state of the franchise, 5 burning questions. Although, full disclosure, the last 2 questions will touch on the Olympic rosters that have thus far been announced. So we'll more on that later. We'll get to those in questions 4 and 5. But we'll start at the top of the episode here. Bit of a wonky week. Brian, I was just telling you, Tuesday, all the goalies were good. Thursday, all the goalies were bad. Saturday, all the goalies were good again. Canadiens walk out. I think happy enough with how the week went overall. But anyways, a bit wonky. We'll get into that. And maybe that's a good jumping point. So 5 burning questions. Question one. Beyond goaltending, because we've spent so much time on it. And then I think when we got to the quarter point of the season, we also kind of mentioned it's distorting a lot, the goaltending. So beyond goaltending, what has changed in the last month, really? Because December wrapped up and I think the Canadiens are something like 8-4-3 compared to the NHL 500 they were in November. So we know goaltending has changed. Beyond that, Brian, what has kind of stood out to you as something that has changed in the past month that has altered the team's performance?
So, the obvious one is the change of personnel, with some guys going out with injuries, new guy coming in the case of Danault. But I'd rather look at least personally, I'd rather look at Slafkovsky because he's become a monster. The first half of his season was okay, fine, bit of a slow start. We've come to expect that from Slafkovsky. What I didn't expect was that, unlike last season and the year prior, he wasn't only going to wake up at game 50-ish or 43 or 45, somewhere beyond the halfway point of the season. No, a third, even a quarter of the season in. I'm looking at his game log here on Hockey Reference. As of game 21, he didn't go more than 2 games without a point in a row. And he's done that once since. And in a lot of those games, it was 1 goal, 1 assist in Vegas. It was 2 assists in Pittsburgh. It was 2 goals and an assist in Tampa this week. So a lot of multi-point games for Juraj Slafkovsky. He's very rapidly blossoming into that first overall pick with tons of skill, with a big body who controls the play, and who, as we've said previously, he doesn't need to rely on Caulfield and Suzuki. In fact, I think it's flip-flopped where Suzuki and Caulfield are now struggling's the wrong word. They're not doing as well because they don't have Uri on their line. And I think that he's allowing Demidov to really flourish and focus on his game, because Demidov doesn't have to worry about going into the dirty areas. He still does. I will give him credit for that. He still does it, but he doesn't have to. That's kind of gravy, because Slafkovsky's all over the place, checking guys, fighting for pucks, and then ripping pucks to the front of the net so that Kapanen can have an easy tap in.
Right. So I'm happy you brought up Slav. I had 2 answers for this in case you also had Slafkovsky, but we can get into Slav because it's been another jump. We've seen this guy kind of, version 1 of him was the Bambi legs, the rookie. We all expected that to get better. Second and third season, there is an elevation. He was very much the complementary piece to that first line. And now, especially in these past 15, 20 games or so, since he's more or less been fully put with Demidov and Kapanen, he's still kind of like the tough guy in the corners, but I think there is a bit of a role adaptation even in there, that there's a bit more freedom to be a bit more creative, be a bit more of a playmaker. And I think it's really well, the blending of that is the Kapanen goal against Carolina, which is early in that game. There's too many goals to remember when it actually happened.
Right.
In my head. It's Slafkovsky has a really nice controlled zone entry, keeps the puck, and has the possession just long enough to find Demidov, tic-tac-toe, and like you said before, Kapanen's just right place, right time, finishes the job. So there's moments like that where it's both. He's being strong on the puck. He didn't have to fight for the puck. He already had it. But maintaining it, getting the zone easily, and helping, it's the hockey assist, right? He's assist 2 on that one. But it's the play is made because of him in that one. He has the end-to-end goal, which terrible goaltending on Thursday, but hey, he did an end-to-end goal.
Yeah.
Still pretty cool for it to make it 6-4. And then I thought Tuesday against Tampa Bay might have been his best game of the year. He has the big tying goal, obviously, at the end, but he was everywhere in that game. And that Tampa's a tough team, a bigger team, and he was ready for it. And he is, it's been levels. Every single season we've seen him go up and up and up, and this change of role now. And I do want to get into the first line, second line stuff. I think Kirby Dach might answer a lot of these questions in the next week or two.
Likely,
but it's been great. Yeah, absolutely. Like, in one way or another, Slafkovsky, whether he was ready for it or whether this has forced him to adapt, he's met it. And he's now at 30 points in half a season, and not outlandish to say he's going to score 30 goals, which is still kind of mind blowing to like the way I know he's a first overall pick, but we all know he wasn't like, he's not the prototypical. He's not Bedard, Celebrini,
no,
McDavid, Matthews, Crosby, anything in that range. He's not even the second tier of like a Jack Hughes. He was very much like, this is the least elite first overall pick in a generation. And he's going to be 21 years old and maybe put up 65, 70 points. So pretty good.
That's excellent. I mean, you asked about the past month. I'll talk about the past month and a week maybe, because in the last 21 games played, he's got 21 points, 8 goals, 13 assists. So that is absolutely on pace for 30 goals. That is absolutely on pace for that 70 points, including the slower start. And I'm really happy you're drawing our attention to the Tampa game, because thank goodness for the second line. Juraj Slafkovsky especially, but thank goodness for the second line. They got the team going when it was bleakest during both 3-goal deficits. It was them that scored to reduce the lead at 3-0. That was Demidov. And then at 4-1, it was Slafkovsky. And Slafkovsky was huge on that Demidov goal as well. Obviously, he got the very nice assist. And then the team brings it back to 4-3. I think it was Dobson's goal, if I remember correctly. And then Slav again with 3 seconds left. Like, that line was the reason that we didn't just get obliterated by Tampa Bay, which is kind of amazing, because yes, like you said, they're a great team. The first period was all Habs and we just could not score. And then second period was all Tampa and they scored 3. Like that to me was so emblematic of like a ready team, Tampa Bay, who's done it before. They know what they're doing, full of vets, versus a rookie team. Each team has control of one period. Only one team does something about it. And then finally in the third period, second line wakes up, thank goodness. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's Slav. I want to hear your other answer, because there's more than just Slav that's changed over the past month.
Yeah, it's Lane Hutson playing on the left.
Yes.
That's been like, to say the word Norris in the same sentence as Lane Hutson is no longer a Habs homerism pick, I believe. I don't know if he'll be like a finalist, meaning he'll be top 3. But to say like 5th, 6th in voting, I don't think that's outlandish to think at this point. He's bordering on point per game as we speak. He's at 40 and 41. By the time people hear this, he might have gone above that. So yeah, so he's been playing a lot more with Alex Carrier. At one point it was as Dobson. Matheson's been in and out of the lineup. It looks like he's back now. We haven't mentioned, and Josh Anderson is nicked up right now. Like, this team this is the most injured after a relatively healthy season last year. They're kind of back to league average in health. But Hutson on the left with Carrier, which is not the most ideal option. And we'll see what happens when Gouli comes back. But like, there's some interesting, if you look at some of the numbers, like the eye test tells us the usual stuff with Lane Hutson, that offensively, he has unlocked another gear. He is moving around more freely. Defensively, I can't say I've noticed any real difference, which is a good thing, that he's still kind of average. And that is okay. If you can get kind of average, even maybe a little bit below average with Lane Hutson on the defensive end, we're cooking. It's fine. Because now on the offensive end, so he's 5th on the team in expected goal percentage when he's on the ice since December 1st. Why that? Like, so that might not sound that impressive. Alex Carrier is 6th. And I'm telling you right now, it's not because Alex Carrier is developing any offense. It really shows that it is when Lane Hutson's on the ice, the whole team goes up a level. He's 1st in shot attempt percentage in the team since December 1st as well. So when he's on the ice, they got the puck. One interesting statistic that it talks about Lane, but it also talks about another guy. When Hutson's on the ice at 5-on-5, the team's on-ice shooting percentage is 12.9%, which is unreal. In second place is Ivan Demidov. So when he is on the ice, the team shoots 12.6%. So negligible. The drop to the next guy is like 3%. Everyone else is around 8 or 9% when they are on the ice. So like, that to me is it's about Hutson, but it's also about Demidov. When those guys are on the ice, they create a lot more because the team is shooting 35%, 35% better. They're scoring at that type of rate better when those guys are on the ice. And that speaks to the room that Demidov creates, to the room that Hutson creates. It's still, and we're going to do our Habs player value rankings in a couple weeks. I'm still pinching myself with Lane Hutson every week because I'm still almost in denial about that this is real, that this is happening. Because Demidov, we knew, right? You drafted Demidov. Oh, yeah, he's going to be a star. We think he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
Everything we've seen so far, he's going to be a star. Hutson was a bit diamond into roughish. Like, we were all excited. And you and I were talking in his like D+2 season, like, okay, man, number 4 defenseman, power play specialist. This is great. They got a draft pick. They got a guy out of this. And then last year he wins the Calder. And now this year he's just, so I think it's both Slaf and Hutson just elevating to a different level in this last month for different reasons. One is he goes to his own line, if we've called it that, right? We ended the apprenticeship with Suzuki and Caulfield, who's now with the 2 rookies. Meanwhile, Lane Hutson is now, okay, you're on the left. And we see this happens every time. We've seen it with Caden Gooley when he goes to the left. Guys can play on the opposite side, but your elite ones kind of need to be on their proper side, really. So that's to me, that was the other thing of Hutson on the left. I'm sure you've seen the same where it's just night after night, Hudson's and Slafkovsky are kind of becoming their best players.
Yeah, absolutely. They've certainly woken up. That draft is looking mighty good at this moment. On Demidov and Hutson being able to just absolutely elevate the shooting percentage, which is it's astounding, but it's not astounding because when you think about it for a half set, like the numbers are astounding, the stark difference between, but then you think about it for half a second, you're like, yeah, how many tap-ins have they each created? Like 40?
Yeah.
40 each. So that's very impressive. On Lane Hutson himself, almost a point per game, as you said, 3rd in the NHL in defenseman scoring, but 2nd in assists behind the one and only Cale Makar, who it sucks you're doing your career at the same time as Makar, Hutson. Like maybe a couple years when he starts falling off and you're still in your prime, but that dude's too sick. Colorado's too sick. So good luck, but absolutely he'll be in the running. The Norris is not out of the question, and he'll be in the running. So pretty astounding stuff. I can't say enough good things about the young guys on this team. And when you're in the midst of a rebuild, whether this is step 3 or 4, whatever you want to call it, I don't know how many steps they've envisioned, Team Hugo, but when you're at this stage, which is we've built the core and now we're just trying to get these ancillary pieces like from the sides in, get a couple more bottom end wingers, so maybe a second line center, might be core, but whatever. It's really nice when that team is performing well because of their core, because of the young guys. It's not the vets who are still hanging on and like, okay, kids, this is how you do it. More often than not, it's the kids going, all right, vets, get on my back. So that's phenomenal to see. And Hutson, Slaf, I mean, I alluded to the dude who just came in, but he hasn't been the story of the past month. Like, Dano, nice to have you back, but like I predicted, has there been much of a change?
On Dano, we can do that quickly and then go to the next question, which I like how this one's gone because I think it sets up question 2 very nicely. On the Dano front, he's something like a -4 in his first 5-6 games, whatever that is. I think that's a little, we know plus minus is a dumb stat. I think over a certain span of time, plus minus can be somewhat representative depending on, like, as long as you understand what type of hockey team you're playing on. His underlying numbers are actually quite decent so far. His faceoffs have predictably turned around after that first terrible game. I think there's going to be a stabilizing factor with Dano going forward. It really doesn't affect what's happened in the last month. But I think once you envision Kirby Dach back in the lineup, Jake Evans back in the lineup, and maybe other guys back in the lineup, because at this point I've conceded the fact that they'll never be fully healthy, then you can kind of start to see the pieces fall into place. And in that sense, Dano is taking a crap load of faceoffs. Your PK1, PK2 centers are Evans and Dano. Like, it's starting to make a lot more sense.
Yep.
But broadly, yeah, he's just been like in the background. You're not totally noticing him, but again, it's unfortunate. I think he's been on, it's 1 goal for 5 or 6 goals against since he's gone to the team at 5-on-5 at least. I don't think that's overly indicative of how he's performed, but we knew it was going to be quiet, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's too early to make any sweeping statements about him. But you're right. When everybody's healthy, he's a pretty crucial part of that bottom six that defense. So it's fine. But certainly not Slaf, certainly not Hutson. Those are the dudes. So yeah, let's jump into question 2. I'm excited about this one.
All right, question 2. Who has been the Montreal Canadiens' most underrated player through the first half of the season? Brian, over to you.
I usually have like 7 answers for these questions. For both questions 1 and 2, I thought this was so obvious from the start. Noah Dobson has been so damn good and gets maybe not zero praise. He gets like 0.3 praise out of 100 because he does all the quiet stuff so good. I'm going to speak on the eye test. I haven't looked at the advanced analytics. I wanted to do this one from the gut because eye test wise, just watching every game this season, I've been so impressed with him. When he first came aboard and we knew him a little bit, from his time elsewhere, we were thinking like, okay, he's got a booming slap shot, probably going to get a bunch of goals. Defensively, might be suspect. At least that's what I thought. Silly me, his game is actually, I just didn't know his game, I think. Because yes, the booming slap shot is still there. Question for you, how much has he actually used it in order to score goals, dude?
I mean, it can't be too much. I know that what's surprised me a lot about Dobson is how efficient he has been offensively at 5-on-5. Even if you just look at the highest producing defenseman in the NHL, I'm not sure you're going to find many guys above him who are not power play 1 like he is.
Yes, that's huge.
Right? So like in terms of producing, I mean, you mentioned the 4-3 goal against Tampa. He is still there contributing despite the fact that he's not power play 1. You can imagine what his numbers would look like if he was power play 1. But I think the fact that he is like power play 2 has been kind of whatever. It's just too many guys injured right now. They very much have sacrificed power play 2, and that's whatever. Kirby Dach will come back.
Yeah.
Alex Newhook will come back. Maybe even Patrick Laine squeezes on there. They'll get better. So really adding that too, like he's really the only mainstay of power play 2 that's still there from the beginning of the season. It's what he's able to do offensively at 5-on-5. And we've seen this shot a bit here and there.
Yeah.
But like it hasn't really been uncorked. And that's kind of what's been to me also so impressive of he is not getting the top billing. Maybe like we expected, like Matheson's getting more ice time. Hudson's slowly taking ice time away from everybody else. But Dobson has just been steady at 22-30, 23-07, 22-56. Like he's right there at the same number, more or less every game. He's getting penalty kill, a lot of penalty kill, and a lot of 5-on-5. And it's, I think this is a great choice. I think he's been fantastic.
Well, those are all definitely the things. You said it all, man, where it's not the booming slap shot necessarily, which he tried to use a bunch on Saturday against the Blues, and it just did not work. What we're seeing more is the seeing eye wrister that he's trying to get tipped, and then it doesn't have to be tipped, but he put it perfectly, and it goes into the back of the net. So he has 7 goals so far. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how many of those were booming slap shots, but those are goals that I tend to remember, and I don't remember many. A lot of them are those seeing eye wristers, so that's impressive. A lot at 5-on-5, as you said, not much on the power play, and just the smoothest transition guy you've ever seen. We thought Matheson was smooth. Dobson is even smoother. And that's the funny thing, too, about Dobson's start here in Montreal. And it's partially why I picked him for most underrated player. The biggest storyline, or one of the biggest storylines surrounding Noah Dobson to start the year, was not about him at all. It was about how much better Matheson looks with him. That's how underrated Dobson is that he can't even be the main story because he just makes everybody else look so good around him. And that's why he got the big contract. That's why they were willing to move, not heaven and earth, but, some of it for him. And I've been super impressed, and he's flying under the radar, and he absolutely should have been considered. I made a joke about it, how like, hey, if Matheson and Dobson had been together last year or 2 years ago and gotten 2 years of chemistry, maybe they would be the guys being the pair going to the, Olympics. I don't feel that way about Matheson realistically. Like if we're going to be completely honest here, I don't think Matheson belongs, but Dobson over a guy like Parayko, there's an argument.
It's not crazy to think, especially on the right side. If this was season 2 of Dobson in Montreal, I wonder if it changes a little bit. And look, he had a down year last year. You can't ignore that. We talked about it when he got traded, the reasons for it. But yeah, look, man, I was just talking like 22 minutes tonight. He's been over 24 minutes a game the past 6 or 7. There's been some Matheson injury stuff as well. So that's helped probably boost the numbers a bit. But it just showed, and some overtime as well. Actually, a lot of overtime. The Habs only play in overtime,
Yeah,
in case you don't know, which is just terrifying sometimes trying to plan out a night. Anyways, that's great. I like this pick. I'm happy you made this pick. So what have we talked about a lot this year? And honestly, how do you define underrated? And I think you were touching on it of like, who is contributing, like the balance between how much we talk about them and how much they're contributing. And that to me defines underrated, right?
Yeah.
We talk about Ivan Demidov a lot. We talk about Lane Hutson a lot. We've talked about Slav a lot this year. Noah Dobson, at least for us, I think, has been moderate discussion, but yeah, like super duper important. We've talked about the goalies way too much. I'm over it. We've talked about bottom six a lot. There's two guys we have kind of glossed over them this year because they're just doing what they always do, and that's Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. We talked about Caulfield early on because he had the hot start. To me, it's Nick. Nick has been the most, which is weird to say, the guy who was on pace for 90 points for back-to-back. Like he is on pace for the first back-to-back point per game season since the mid-90s. And as a Montreal Canadian, he is almost on pace for back-to-back-to-back 30-goal seasons that only Max Pacioretty has done this millennium on this team. And I find we are just not talking about Nick Suzuki. So there's a couple reasons why, and I wanted to see like what I've kind of noticed in the last couple weeks is him starting to push a bit more, and maybe that's made me even realize like what's going on. One is he maybe, and this probably goes into maybe some of the discussion of like, well, he was a bit banged up for a bit, clearly. Like he was hurt for a while, and now is he just gotten enough like 3 days off here and there to recover? Is there some element of the like, Slafkovsky's not on our alignment anymore, I need to be a bit more present from a goal scoring standpoint, because he has been shooting. At least it feels like eye test that he's been shooting. He's been scoring a lot more, that I can say, but he seems to be a bit more present on a goal scoring front. And that you do got to wonder if there's a Team Canada confidence boost. If he got the heads up a week or 2 weeks ago and said, you made it, man, you did it. And if that just adds a layer of confidence to it. So like, because I've certainly noticed from the last couple weeks a bit more aggression in Nick Suzuki's game, and I wonder like what blend of it is happening. But truthfully, the reason he's been underrated this year, the reason we're not talking about him is because if you look year over year with his numbers, he's basically averaging what he did last year, pretty much bang on. But the reason that's like we're not talking about it as much is because of how hot he was to end. That he like his numbers really skyrocketed at the end of the year, but year over year they look the same.
Right.
So he hasn't been on as much of a heater through the first 41 games as he was in the post Four Nations last year. That doesn't mean that he's like, again, basically on pace for 90 points.
Yeah.
Which would top his career from average, or his career high from last year was 89 points. He is still like incredibly important. He's going to have some more support now in the faceoff circle with Dano around. One interesting thing that I did notice is that while his faceoff percentage is below 50% as of recording, the most important faceoffs that Nick Suzuki takes is on the power play. And in that one, he is over 50%. So if Nick can win 52, 53% of faceoffs on the power play, I don't care as much on the rest of the stuff. Be nice to win a 3-on-3 faceoff.
Sure.
But 3-on-3 is not indicative of real hockey. So anyways, that's my long spiel about, I think it's been Nick. I think we have, I mean, you and I, how many times have we had a headline this season, that has been about Nick? I honestly, personally, I can't think of one. Yeah.
I mean, he's been the most important player for the entire stretch of this podcast. So not that we're sick of talking about him, but sometimes I'm about to open my mouth and go, and Nick did this week. And I'm like, I've talked about him about 1,000 times. Why don't we talk about, I don't know, Carrier or Sammy Blais or Texier? Like, talk about somebody else. We've done him enough. But that has absolutely made it so that he's, at least in Habs land between you and I, very underrated because he's just doing what he does. I just want to add one thing to what you were saying. He's the model of consistency, Jordan. 41 games so far. He's only not scored a point in 10 of those. So basically 3/4 of the games he's got a point in. Good for well over a point per game. Of those 10, only 2 of them were back-to-back. That horrible stretch in mid-November, the loss 5-1 to the LA Kings, which we always get destroyed by, and then the even bigger destruction to the hands of Dallas, 7-0. Those 2 games, he did not record a point. Other than that, he has not gone 2 games in a row without a point. Which, if you're playing on his team, there's something so fundamentally, like, structural about that. I it's not the right word, but like it's calming almost, where I know Nick is going to score one. And if he doesn't, he'll score tomorrow night. Like in one of these games, he's putting something on the board, and at times he's putting 2 or 3 points on the board. And there's something really calming about that, to know that your number one center, your most important player, is playing like your most important player, and that also he's doing all the other little things right, as he's always done. And that's I think he's the perfect example too of like the Marty style of player, who you build them up in the ways that they're not great yet. You build up all the little things, all the important technical aspects of the game, and then the other fun stuff shines through because they have this solid base. And I think Suzuki's the perfect example of that. So that's a great pick. I did not consider him because he just got picked for the Olympics. So how could you call him underrated? But coming at it from the perspective of you and I, he absolutely has been.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of this conversation is ditto for Cole Caulfield. Now,
Pretty
again,
much.
Caulfield has
Yep.
2 years in a row now where he just crazy start and then settles into his season. But even like it's a consistency on both of those guys' fronts, where there's no super high peaks in their seasons. Again, post-formation stuff was different with Nick, but generally with both of those guys, the peaks aren't like, holy crap, like Cole Caulfield scored 7 goals in 3 games this week. We're not going to usually get that. But what we will get with Caulfield is that the valleys, the quiet times, there won't be like, wow, 7. There won't be a Pacioretty. And again, this is one of the parts we remembered about Pacioretty. Pacioretty would do this. He would go off for 9 goals in 6 games and then go 7 games without a goal. You don't get that with Caulfield.
Yeah.
So maybe that from us, it's just like, you and I know they're going to play 3 games next week. That line, those 2 guys are going to score 2 to 4 goals. Book it.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm just part of the, like, so I obviously write all these questions, and I wanted to make sure we found a spot to talk about Nick and Cole in some capacity, where it's not like we're not taking this for granted, that what these guys are pulling off consistently, we still say, hey, we see you, we recognize you. Those are still 2 of the 5 best players, 2 of the 5 most important players in the franchise.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Very true. I think it also shows that we did our 3 stars segment in the wrong seasons.
Yeah.
Because seasons 1 and 2, when we were doing the 3 stars, it was, Suzuki. Oh, yeah, Caulfield. Oh, Suzuki again. Oh, yeah, the goalie. Oh, yeah, Suzuki. Oh, Caulfield. If we were doing it now, there would actually be some variants, which would be fun. But anyway, Nick, Captain Nick, first star from me.
Yeah, it was very much Cole, Nick, and a goalie for 2 years.
Yeah.
Kirby Doc would slide in every now and then.
I would force
Early
Jake
Matheson
Evans
would
in.
slide in.
That would be
You would make Jake Evans
him
to come in every now and then. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Good times. Not really. Let's move on. Question 3. Last Habs one before we shift to the Olympics. Brian, where do you rank the Montreal Canadiens right now, at least, but still projecting out, right? So that's based on what we've seen this year, but pushing it out to the rest of the season in the playoffs. Where do you rank the Canadiens in the Eastern Conference? Now, I made a note in our document that we can do this in tiers because we really don't have to go team by team. If you'll allow me.
Sure. Go for it.
Tier 1, I have Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Okay.
Now, you can talk me into the Panthers and the Capitals if you wanted to and mush that into one giant tier, because that's my tier 2. Florida, Matthew Tkachuk's going to be back eventually. He's been named to the Olympic team. I don't think Barkov's going to come back, but I think they've recovered enough, and the East is quite frankly kind of dull for the most part. Washington's a bit of a sleeping giant. I still don't think they're much of a big super playoff threat, but I'd have a tough time putting them below 4 right now. So whether you want to put a delineation, because there's flaws in those 2 teams, whether you want to put a delineation there and have Tampa, Carolina up top, and then like couldn't even be like 1A, 1B. But do you agree those are the top 4, whether it's in one tier or 2?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think Tampa Bay and Carolina should be in their own tier, though. Just numbers wise.
Okay, sure.
Like if you look at the advanced analytics, especially in expected goals percentage, Carolina 56.34. They're like a percent point below the Colorado Avalanche best team, on pace to be the best team of all time. So like they're just below. I know stylistically they're no fun compared to the Avalanche, but they're still really good. Then there's Tampa. Sandwiched between them is Ottawa, which is fascinating. Expected goals percentage for the Ottawa Senators, almost 55%. So why are they not in this top tier?
They have a Linus Ullmark problem.
Oh, right. Goaltending. That's a shame. They've never
Ullmark
had that before, the Ottawa Senators.
hey, look, they tried. I think Ullmark worked for a season and there was evidence to believe he would still be good. Ottawa also has a dynamite power play.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
On
that's
Carolina, Carolina's the same story as always. They kill everybody at 5-on-5 because they do a lot of volume. Power play, penalty kill this year, they're nothing special. They're middle of the pack. So for them to beat you, they need to just not take any penalties and have good goaltending. That's their playoff problem. Like they are the Oakland A's of, we've done the Moneyball stuff with them. We don't have to do it again. Ottawa. Okay, so let's put those first four above it because ultimately we care about where the Canadiens. And I think the Canadiens safely in whatever you would define the next tier as, which I've put New Jersey, Ottawa, and Montreal in that next group, 5 through 7, essentially.
So I viewed this as like, if we were to enter the playoffs tomorrow, what teams would I be afraid of in the East? Tampa is one of them. Carolina is one of them. Washington is just because of last season. Florida is because of their cup pedigree, like they have to be. New Jersey is because I have a soft spot for them, maybe. And I think the list ends there. Detroit doesn't scare me. Buffalo's little nine game tear that they've been on since GM
10.
Got canned. 10? It became 10?
10 now.
I thought they lost. Shoot, let me look. Yeah, lost one. Oh, maybe they hit 10 prior to the loss. But anyway, 9, 10, a crap load of games in a row that they won, which brought them to 9th in the Eastern Conference. Can you imagine winning 10 games in a row and you're not in the top half of the conference? St. Louis Blues 2018. So like none of those teams really scare me near the bottom. I think it might end with those four. Habs might be in the 5 spot, and New Jersey and Ottawa are the 2 teams I think in that range. The Islanders are kind of fascinating though.
They're a bit of an enigma for me to figure out this year. And you wonder how much of it, like, there's so much Schaefer hype early in the year, and rightfully so, and he's been incredible, that it's almost overshadowing what someone like Bo Horvat's been doing all season.
Right.
And like Emil Heineman has fit them like a glove, and he's going to score 20-25 goals this season. Like that's worked out well. Actually, their draft picks that they made with 16 and 17 are also playing quite well. Keyshawn Atchison, hello.
Yeah.
So like I kind of view it the same. Like there's those top 4, and if the Canadiens are matched up against those top 4, they are legitimate underdogs. If it's Jersey and Ottawa, I think it's coin flip, but probably slight underdogs in both regardless. And then that next tier of Islanders, Boston. So now I start to waver. So I think, I think we're kind of landing in the same spot of like 7th, 8th, which is kind of makes sense if they finished 8th last year.
Sure. Yeah, maybe a touch higher for me, but like, I don't know. The more I think about the Islanders, the more I think that the Habs might go up against them in the playoffs and just get goalied. Because you look at Sorokin's numbers and Riddick too, like 910 save percentage, 907 save percentage, 2 very good goaltenders. And Sorokin obviously is an elite goaltender. But the fact that they're getting it from both tells me that structurally they're very good as well. Like defensively, their structure, which that's an Islanders thing. They've always been like that. So in the playoffs, that shit just flat out works. So yeah, maybe 6th-ish. Because there's a bunch of teams that are like, the fact that we have not mentioned the Toronto Maple Leafs at all in this yet is pretty funny, but they're nowhere near this conversation for me.
Here's the thing. Every team in the East is on pace for 85 points or more.
Yeah, which is incredible. No team is below NHL 500. Yeah. No team is below 523. That's the New York Rangers.
So I find that's what really distorts it. That's why I felt comfortable with the top 4. I'm like, eye test, pedigree, history. Like, I know those 4 teams are better. 5 through 16, you could argue, like, there's some bad. Like, Columbus is not a good hockey team. Pittsburgh is I believe Pittsburgh still has a positive goal differential. That air has to come out of that balloon at some point. The Rangers and the Leafs have been their own, like, just like they weirdly mirror each other a lot. I think the Rangers are a little bit further ahead in the like catastrophe cycle than the Leafs are. They're probably a good season and a half ahead, which is great news for all of us if that's the case for the Leafs. But both of those teams are just miserable. Like that's tier for whatever group that is. Like those 2 teams should at least be in the same tier as the Habs, but they've been so miserable from a performance standpoint from all the news coming out of that I think like I put them in both those teams in tier 5 because I'm like, there's just bad juju with both of these teams.
Yeah.
It could be a thing where you could like, not that these would ever line up in terms of a playoff matchup, but like this could be a thing where like the grumpy veteran team could still beat a younger rookie-ish team in a playoff series. Like I could see that happening. It won't be an issue for the Habs because it won't line up that way.
Right.
but I'd still put like a bit of like, on those two. But there's a chance neither make the playoffs because Buffalo just wins every game from here on out. And the Boston Bruins were never that bad to begin with. And those are the two wildcard teams, and we're done.
And then there's Florida, and then there's Ottawa, and then, there's a ton of teams here. Like the Philadelphia Flyers are 6th in the East. Kind of crazy. And the icing on the cake is that you could tell how miserable those fan bases are. You could tell how miserable the players, some of the players are, the coaching, like when they're in interviews, they're just like scratching their heads. They're above 500. They're 5 points back of a, not a wild card spot, a like divisional spot. Toronto's 5 points back, of the Canadiens at 50 points. And they're miserable. Like they're so close. So it would be foolish to count any Eastern Conference team out at this moment in time. That being said, I'm comfortable with where the Canadiens are. 4th in the East. Only they're a -1 in differential. So if you put a big stake in that, we're kind of partners with the Red Wings in that. They're -7 right now. But I don't. You got to win hockey games.
I don't care about.
We lost the game by 7 to Dallas, who stomped us. I mentioned it before. You remove that one game, and we're +6. Makes a big difference.
I don't really care about the goal differential because the garbage goaltending they got in November torpedoed it and it's going to take them a long time to fully recover because there's a lot of those games where it gets away from them and they give up way too many goals. And we should mention it. Jakub Dobeš wasn't good against Carolina. No. At least 3 of those goals he should have gone. There were 2, there was the 5th goal, the 6-5 goal that didn't really matter that he couldn't have stopped. It was a weird tip right in front of the crease. It was okay. And I think the second goal he gave up was also a deflection. But those other 3 were definitely what are you doing? Why are you out of position? Why are you not making these easy saves? That I do want to mention that. Monty, we haven't talked about Monty, but good job. That's one. Let's see if you can get a second one.
Yep.
And Jacob Fowler, with every game now, further proves that he belongs in the NHL. So I think that's the part that's if you aren't an outsider, and we'll admit we are outsiders to what's going on with the Islanders. We are outsiders to what is going on with the Penguins, right? But so that note aside, for anyone looking in at the Habs and they just look at some of those numbers, the context you are missing is the fact that the goaltending was horrible for 6 weeks, and it seems like that ship has been righted.
Right.
So some of the Habs, broadly, the Habs' advanced stats are all slightly up this year. Expected goal percentage, shoot attempt percentage are 20th, 21st in the league, and that's bumped up 3-4 spots year over year. They are, we've talked about it for a long, long time. They are weirdly allowing very few high danger scoring chances, but they just concede a lot of them. And that speaks to the goaltending a little bit. And so the cloud of the goaltending, I think we're slowly moving away from that. And that'll provide a better, if we're just looking at broad stats, and I'm sure every team has a story like this, but from the Canadiens' perspective, 6th or 7th is, I agree. There's probably a case for, I would still put New Jersey and Ottawa ahead of them.
Okay.
But that mushiness in the middle, if you finish the season poorly, you could easily fall to 11th in this conference. At least as of right now, that will obviously change. That 5-point gap between the Leafs and 3rd in the division, if this malaise and this fraudulence continues with the Leafs, it'll be 8 points in a month.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. Slowly over the course of the season, 5 points becomes 7 points, becomes 11 points. Before you know it, it's a trade deadline and you're 9 points out.
And with all luck, that will happen. The Leafs will be about 9 points out, and they will trade the farm once again next year's draft because they don't have a first this year.
I believe they don't have this year's or next year's.
Or next. Oh man, that's rough. I feel real bad. That's rough. Okay,
and
so trade the following year then. Trade 2028 or whatever it's going to be.
All right. So let's get into question 4. So we're zooming out a bit. We're going to go talk about the Olympic rosters, which have kind of been announced. Now, I thought, and this is a grievance of mine, I thought the deadline was New Year's Eve for all these rosters to be announced. My suspicion is that all these rosters have been submitted, but they are all taking their sweet time announcing them. And kind of, this is probably the NHL's doing, of spreading it out for a news cycle here and there. Because I really thought everything was supposed to come out by New Year's Eve. And really, it was just Team Canada that came out then. And then, as of recording, we've gotten only the full rosters for the big 4 teams, which are the 4 most important teams and the 4 most likely to medal. but we haven't gone Slovakia. We haven't gone Czechia. We know Slav is on the team. We know Texier is in France. We don't know. The Dobesh question remains.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. So that to me, I'm confused by that, but I'm happy Canada's is out. So Brian, question 4. Did Hockey Canada get their Olympic roster right?
I'll give them an 82%.
Hmm.
Very specific number. It equates to 18 out of 22, basically. So I think they made 4 missteps. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't love Cirelli and Hagel over like Wyatt Johnston, Bedard, Geeky, even Bennett. Stylistically, maybe not Bennett, or like Scheifele. I hate saying that. I can't believe I'm saying it, but like I think Scheifele deserves it more than maybe Cirelli does. So maybe 2 misses there. Question for you, Jordan. Do you think Stamkos makes the team if he's still a Lightning? Daddy Cooper gets what he wants.
So on the Stamkos front, I do feel bad. I mean, he doesn't deserve to make this team, full stop. But like, and he has 2 Stanley Cups, but he never got to play in the Olympics. He is the main guy that his generation lost.
Right.
From them not going in 2018. 22, they were supposed to go, I believe, at one point. Or sorry, I'm getting my years. No, I'm getting my years right. 22, they were supposed to go. That was China. And I think COVID kind of mucked that all around. And they weren't able to do it. 18, though, they never went. And he would have obviously been on the 18 squad. And he's almost definitely on the 22 squad as well.
Yeah, certainly.
But anyways, I'm okay with Hagel. I think it's Point you were really annoyed about last time.
So you know what?
More than Hagel.
Point has been on a ridiculous tear. I think you said that it was something health related when I brought it up initially. And looking at the way that he's progressed, I think that health thing is gone. He's been scoring goals. He's been getting points. He's been all over the place. So look, Braden Point, and also maybe to begin with, that was foolish on my part to like. He's one of the best goal scorers Canada has to offer every single year. So because he starts one year badly, you remove him. I think that was my bias creeping in there, dislike for the Lightning. I don't feel that way about Cirelli, at all. I think you took Nick Suzuki. That's the Cirelli replacement. You don't need Cirelli there now. Suzuki's a perfect replacement, better player, similar style of player. Both are good defensively, etc. Hagel, I could see the argument. But like Wyatt Johnston, Bedard, Geeky, like get a young dude in there, man. Get somebody who's like raring to go and in 4 years will be one of the prime people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I saw this as Daddy Cooper getting what he wants. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe those are the most deserving guys. But like, those, at least from the forwards, those are my 2 that I had grievances with. Did you have anybody from the forward group that you were like, I don't know about this guy?
Cirelli. I think that's the easy one. A lot of people had problems with Mark Stone, and that to me tells me you're not watching Mark Stone right now.
Dude, he's insane. Does he have the highest points per game of the past like 10, 15 games?
I've looked at this.
You have? Oh,
so I've looked at this. He is 7th in the NHL in points per game. There's 3 guys in the top 20 that did not make the Olympic rosters. Sorry, non-Russians, obviously. Kaprizov, Kucherov would be there. But
yeah, right.
Scheifele, ironically, is 12th on that list.
That one I
Jason
knew.
Robertson, who we'll get to, is 19th.
Yes.
Connor Bedard.
Yes.
5th.
Yes. Okay.
So to me, it's like, okay, Mark Stone is, and also Mark Stone's going to be there to kill penalties and be on your 3rd and 4th line. Like, don't worry about Mark Stone.
He's sick. Yes. He's
so it's Cirelli over, and then you can pick whoever, whether you want to pick Bedard or Johnston or Scheifele. Like, I'm okay with those ones. I had Horvat on my team when I put it together, and I was fine with that choice. There's also the Seth Jarvis injury. It sounds like he's kind of next guy up if there is an injury and he's ready to go over Bedard based on what Jarvis has told the media. But I'm okay with it. It's a Cirelli pick to me. And I like, truthfully, at the end of the day, that's not going to matter. But yeah, it would have been nice to have one of the younger guys, be it Johnston or Bedard on. And like the sliding doors is what if Bedard doesn't get hurt? It sounds like they're just using the Bedard injury as he's hurt. That took him out of contention when in reality, and I'm saying this as someone who didn't have Bedard on my team initially, like, and I would look, it gets tough towards the end of this. And part of it is your hands are tied, understanding that there's the 6 guys that already made it. Like, it's the forward. This is the most competitive position in all of these rosters, the Canadian forward group.
Easily.
Maybe the U.S. goaltenders and maybe the Swedish defensemen hold a candle to this. I mean, certainly the U.S. goalies is just disgusting.
Yeah.
But that's only 3 spots, whereas this is 14. So I'm broadly okay with it. On the defensive side, we can turn over to that. No Schaefer. Parayko makes it, and Doughty makes it, which I think you and I were kind of talking around that. We were all in on Harley, obviously McCarr, Taves, Sanheim. McCarr, Taves, Theodore, Morrissey. I think we all both had. And we were just kind of talking around like, okay, is there a way to get Schaefer onto this team? And there was a righty lefty thing that kind of, to me, forced the Parayko part of it. And then same ditto for Doughty, it seems like just bring him onto the team. And I don't think like you've seen the like, and this is truthfully, Noah Dobson should be in this conversation. Like he has been good enough to have like, if we're bringing Drew Doughty in, and I get the pedigree of Doughty and what he's been like as part of Team Canada, but like as a corollary, at least Brad Marchand has been murdering it this year. I mean, he's literally trying to murder people and elbowing Mike Matheson in the head, but he's also been quite good at the actual hockey on the ice. Whereas Doughty's been fine this year. And like, but I get it. Like you want to balance vets. And so cutting Schaefer was always going to be the hard one.
Are they even balancing vets though? Because they brought all vets. I guess, Harley's youngish, McCarr's youngish, Sanheim in the middle. I guess, whatever. I don't know. I said I had 4 issues. I've said 2. Parayko / Doughty. That's a grievance of mine for sure. I would have loved to see Schaefer there. So that's like, I'll lump those 2 guys into one because more so than not wanting either of those guys on the team, I just wanted Schaefer on the team. I really did. He's been sick. Do you want to do the goaltending at all? Because that's my number 4.
So sure, like here, this is it. We both had Logan Thompson, and I think he'll still be the starter. Truthfully, I forget. I think was it only me who landed on Darcy Kemper, or we both had Darcy Kemper? You had Kemper.
I had Wedgwood or Blackwood, or both, I think.
Okay.
It might have been both and Thompson.
One of the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I had Wedgwood and Kemper, and you had Wedgwood, Blackwood, both Woods from Colorado. Yeah. So we knew Binnington was going to make the team. And we knew basically that Thompson had like forced Hockey Canada to put him on the team, and it was who was going to be the third. You hope your third goalie doesn't matter, and you hope I find this some of the funniest conversations, like who's the third goalie? Like, dude, it ain't gonna matter. Like we can go back through these tournaments. You never get past the backup goalie. Cujo was the starter in 2002. He's not good in the first game. Marty Brodeur replaces him, and that's it. We never see Ed Belfour, right?
Yep.
Carey Price becomes the starter in 2014. Salut la visite. It's done. Yeah. It's him. We never change it. Right? So like once you get the number one, it's very hard to like even bump off the backup goalie. And if you are bumping off the backup goalie, it doesn't matter. We're not making it to the medal rounds.
Right.
We'll have had bigger issues than just goaltending.
So if you'll permit me, my grievance is not with the backup goalie or the third. It's with Binnington.
Obviously. Yeah.
That's the guy that like, he was there at 4 Nations. We're bringing him. But excuse me, how have his numbers been this year? I have not looked at them. Thank you for the question. Next question. He's on a crappy Blues team, I know, and I do understand that this is a big indictment of the Habs' awfully crappy performance on Saturday versus said Blues, where Binnington shut us out with the help of Parayko, by the way, on the blue line, and those are the 2 guys I have grievances with. So, like, yes, the Habs were trash, but I don't know, man. Watch the recent games, especially with goaltending. Goaltending is not a pedigree position. Where like he used to be good, okay. I used to have a 6-pack. Not really, but I used to be skinny. Like things happen in the past. They don't replicate necessarily. Anyway, I hope I'm dead wrong and Binnington plays unbelievably well like he did in the final. Every game in the Olympic, like that would be amazing. But more likely than that, or what I'm more interested in would be Thompson getting the starts, Kemper getting some starts. Like I don't want to see Binnington much.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing. Like whoever they scratch is the 13th and 14th forward. Who cares? It's going to be who is starter, who is backup for those back-to-backs in those first couple games. And are they going to rotate? Like, is it going to be those first 3 games? They'll just go 1-1-1, and then we'll decide based on performance. Now, one of those games is I believe it's France, so like it's not very much apples and oranges, but that'll be interesting. So, like one random note I just noticed. This is going to sound like not conspiracy theorist, but like very like protectionist. And I really don't mean it to be that way, but it's kind of interesting. Of the 25 players that got named to Team Canada, Brian, off the top of your head, how many play for a Canadian NHL team?
I would have to go through the list, but I don't think many.
Connor McDavid,
Yeah,
Nick Suzuki, Josh Morrissey.
Is that all?
It's interesting, right?
Wow. So 3 out of 25, that's 12%. And it's more like 20. So it's like half of what should be, like just statistically, because there's 7 out of 32. So like a little more than half of what should be.
Yeah. And like the interesting part is how many of them have played for Canadian teams and have left. You have Mark Stone, played in Ottawa.
Right. Yep.
Mitch Marner, of course.
Yep.
Played in Toronto. Bo Horvat. And that might be it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, anyways, like it's just something I'm just kind of scanning through, and it means nothing. This is a conversation about nothing. This is if Seinfeld was a podcast segment, but
no, we did that. That was
it's just
we did that a couple weeks ago.
We did that 2 weeks ago.
Festivus.
It's just let's just put a pin in that. I have no conspiracy theory. I have no like homerism. I have no idea. It just came to mind, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Just a little Canadian coinky.
Yeah, there's something. Maybe is there something there? I don't know. Anyways, let's get off of this conspiracy stuff. Let's go to our last question. Do it quickly. Question 5. So again, we only have 4 rosters. Kind of weird. So of the other 3, which are the other big 3? USA, Sweden, and Finland. What has been the biggest surprise? You can obviously give me multiple answers here, and we can kind of rapid fire our way out of this. But from Team USA, from Sweden, from Team Finland, what happened? Like who got on the team, didn't get on the team that you're like, huh, interesting. What's going on there?
I mean, call me a homer, but Oliver Kapanen for Finland.
Of course, yes. Yeah,
I gotta open with him.
I knew you
were
going there. Of course. Good. Listen, not in the NHL last year, on Team Finland this year. That's a win.
Incredible.
Good for you, kid.
He didn't make Team France like Texier. He didn't make Team Croatia, who isn't even in that. Like, he made Team Finland. That's one of the big 4. Big 5 if Russia's included. But, like, that's one of the big 4. What were the 4 nations in the face-off last year? The 4 most important nations in hockey other than Russia. Finland was one of them. And Oliver Kapanen, the Rook, has made the team. Now, who's going to be the Demidov that gives him tap-ins? I don't know. But he's there. And what's nice about Kapanen is that he's not going to be there as a second-line center the way he is on the Canadiens. He's going to be there in a bottom end, bottom 6 role if he plays at all, but he's capable of that.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about Oliver Kapanen is that that's been his game forever. He only recently got into this snipe city where he takes his shovel out and is on the back door. He's capable of doing all the defensive stuff well.
I think there's a good chance he's the 13th or 14th forward
Totally.
Here, truthfully.
Yes.
Because like you'd think it's down the middle, it's Aho, then Rupe Hintz, and then you put some like Rantanen will be on that top line, like an Intervine Granlund.
Yeah.
Something that's the top 6. That's pretty set in stone. Anton Lundell will be their 3rd line center because he is the world's greatest 3rd line center that no one talks about. And like that could be a spot for Kapanen. You can put him on a 4th line with like Tolvanen and Eric Haula. Like there's a bottom 6 role, obviously. Like Armia is around.
Yeah.
Armia might get that spot, at least initially. Like, so I can see Kapanen sliding in on like a Lundell line. Something like that. But I can also definitely see him being scratched in first 2 games and then getting maybe 1 easy game just to get some experience. Clearly what Finland see the same way now it's different with Team Canada because Celebrini is going to be a real part of the team. But if Canada didn't have such an embarrassment of riches, Matthew Schaefer would be on the team partly to be like, just be around the team. You're going to be part of this team for 20 years. They're doing it with Thomas Harley, at least. Like in the same way, it's very much like, come to Milan, be a part of the team, be with everybody. The Euros are a bit better with going to the World Championship, so I'm sure Kapanen will make some World Championship appearances over the years and become a bigger and bigger part of Team Finland going forward. Yeah, this was the one I wanted to start with too, because this was not on our radar. I don't think we were really, I don't even know if we discussed it when we were going through like our long list of guys making it. We may have, like we were talking about Caulfield and Hutson and Slav and Dobesh. We don't really know if we were talking much about Oliver Kapanen. So
I had written him off. I just thought Finland's too deep. It's one of the big 4. Like they're not going to have room for this rookie who, yes, has been great, has a ton of goals. 5th, I think, in rookie scoring at the moment that we're recording right now. Like very impressive. And not goals, like points, like all together, because he's getting assists too. But I didn't see this coming. So that's pretty phenomenal. This just occurred to me, and I wish it had occurred to me last night as I was prepping for this episode. But like I would love to go through all the NHL teams and see which NHL team has the most countries. I'm saying this wrong. Another reason I would have loved to prep, but like, so Slafkovsky, Suzuki, Kapanen, Texier, they all play for different countries. Which NHL team has the most different countries represented in their roster? And I think the Canadiens are probably up there. They're not necessarily I don't think they're number one probably, but like Slafkovsky for Slovakia, Kapanen for Finland. That's an interesting one. Dobesh could be. You've got Texier for France, and that's the only France. So there we go. Suzuki. I don't know who else.
Can I do just quick question? If there was a Team Russia, is Demidov on it?
Yeah, for the future. How could he not
Historically, the Russian Ice Hockey Federation likes to have KHL guys. That's the only reason why.
So and maybe
especially
not.
with the way, especially the way Demidov left, it seemed to have been mostly amicable. And he's not quite at the talent level yet where he's like undeniable. He just turned 20. Like I get it. There's a chance that team would just be dynamite. I know there's geopolitical stuff going on, but man, that not having Russia there is just,
yeah.
There's a piece of the pie missing, and it's the third best, if not second. They might be better than Team USA, truthfully.
Right.
You have Vasilevsky, and then up front you have Kucherov and Kaprizov, and then just a world of other killers. Anyways, it's too bad.
And it would have been Ovi's last chance.
Of course.
Which just
Good point.
Sucks. So yeah, again, F the leader of those guys, that country.
You what do you want to do next? Touch on Team Sweden or make fun of Team USA? Or do you want to end with Team USA?
Whatever. Yeah, let's end on Team USA. That one's gonna be fun.
Okay, Elias Lindholm, not Hampus Lindholm, which I thought was funny, even though I think Hampus Lindholm's been better than Elias Lindholm, but Swedish defense is no joke, man.
No, that's a serious group.
I said it's in the category of like best positions among the elite teams, along with Canada's forwards and the USA goalies. I do mean that. You have Forsling, Hedman, Rasmus Anderson, Rasmus Dahlin, Broberg, Brodin, and Oliver Ekman Larsson. I think I'm probably missing someone. I think I just said 7 guys, not 8. Did I say Erik Karlsson? Erik Karlsson's also there.
Yeah, Erik Karlsson's there.
Stacked. So stacked that Hampus Lindholm doesn't make the team. Matthias Ekholm also doesn't make the team, not having a great year, but Matthias Ekholm didn't make the team. Both Minnesota goalies.
Yes.
They do the anti-Canada. Canada brought no Wedgwood, no Blackwood. And Sweden's like, yeah, cool. We like they're already working as a tandem.
Right.
Jacob Markstrom sucked this year. Like Jake Allen's been almost better than him. So I'd presume Markstrom's become the third and Gustafsson will start with the Wall of St. Paul as the backup.
Yeah. They're used to backing each other up. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
And then they have Brodin as well, who that's familiar face on the back end. Joel Eriksson Ek for the forwards. They've got a bunch of wild.
So this team is stacked.
Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, if Philip Gustafsson just gets really hot, or Jesper Walsack gets really hot, they can just win every game 2-1. I don't know if they have enough scoring. When you talk about Canada, when you talk about USA, because you're going to have to beat one of those two teams to win a gold medal. There's a chance you'll have to beat both of these teams, depending on how the bracket lines up. And we'll do a proper Olympics thing in like a month. But you just look at their forwards and you're like, is there enough goal scoring? They have Willie Nylander. They have Leo Carlsson. And I think it's really Carlsson that like has to level up. You have others there too. But a lot of their guys are like, I like him as my second, third line center with Eriksson Ek, with Lindholm.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll get out of Landeskog. Holmberg made the team, which I had a nice chuckle at. There's a lot of guys. This is a really good, really freaking good team. Elias Pettersson's there.
I guess Daddy Cooper gets what he wants, even for Sweden, if you know what I mean. Lucas Raymond, I like a lot. That's a great. That one's almost obvious that he had to be included. Nylander, what are they going to get from Nylander? Is it going to be the uncaring, not giving a crap Toronto Maple Leafs Nylander? Is it going to be the world beater? Because Nylander, when he's on his game, when he gives a shit, is so good. Like scary good. As a first line Swedish guy.
So they're going to put, you're going to put him with Karlsson on the top line. Is that what's going to happen? And then what do? You put Forsberg
that would be
there as
awesome.
Well? Like, are you just
maybe
stack the line?
Call me weird, but Kempe.
Oh yeah.
Kempe is like, we were doing our underrated player for the Habs in the league. Adrian Kempe is a very underrated player, and he plays for the LA Kings, who don't score a lot, but he does. So like, that might be the guy. Landeskog, if he was more consistent. Oh, Philip Forsberg actually might just be the obvious one. He's such a naturally
Let the
good
record
goal scorer.
let the record state I did say Philip Forsberg 45 seconds ago, and Brian ignored me.
Yeah, sorry. So
Okay.
you're right. You're right. It's
Team
him.
USA.
It's definitely Forsberg. Sorry, Kempe. You're out.
All right. Team USA, let's do this quickly. This team is ridiculously stacked. Like, I know we're all going to make haha jokes. You guys are stupid. But, like, this team terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. You start between the pipes. You have 3 of the 9 best goalies in the world. You only need one of them.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better than what we have between the pipes. Their forwards, again, we can talk about the lack of Jason Robertson on this team. But, like, I don't think Vincent Trocheck's going to make a difference here. Because, like, now. So the interesting thing going on this season is a lot of these American guys are refusing, or not refusing. I don't want to speak in like definitive statements here, but like it appears that there are American players who are doing everything they can and within their rights to play in the Olympics. Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, 2 cases in point of like, yeah, they're probably not going to be 100%, but they're going to make this team because this means a lot to them, and credit to them for trying. I don't know how much you're going to get out of Austin Matthews or Matthew Tkachuk. Even with that said, these guys have killers everywhere.
Yeah.
They didn't bring all of them. You still have Kyle Connor. You still have Jack Hughes. You still have Clayton Keller.
Tage
Thompson made the team.
Monster.
The other Tkachuk is there.
Yeah.
They're still stacked. And then the defense is also ridiculous. Like Slavin, Rowensky, McAvoy, Quinn Hughes, who's now rejuvenated. Another Minnesotan, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, at the end of the day, like, this is still a terrifying team. I know that there's been just a lot of like punching bag jokes about no Adam Fox, no Jason Robertson. And I think that's very legitimate criticism. Doesn't mean these guys aren't absolutely terrifying. And if they were fully 100%, you could argue that they are co-favorites with Canada.
Yeah. I mean, it's the 3. It's because we just did Sweden and Sweden's up there as well. But yeah, USA is right there with Canada. The astounding thing to me is the JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck thing. When you couple that with the Adam Fox thing, because you could make the John, I've been making that joke all episode, but like the John Cooper gets what he wants for Canada. Oh, is the Rangers coach getting what he wants for Team USA? All but Adam Fox. Which
weird,
Fox is
super weird.
Fox is the choice of the 3 of those guys. Like Fox beats Trocheck to make this team. Is it that their defense is just that stacked? I don't think so. Like,
I think here's the thing. It's the same thing that happened. First of all, 4 nations, Adam Fox did not have a good tournament. That much is true.
Right.
Second thing that is true is they view Quinn Hughes as the first power play guy and Zach Werenski as the second power play guy. This is also truth.
Yeah.
Where the third truth happens and makes them complete idiots is that Adam Fox is having a redonkulous season, and he has been incredible, and he is still one of the 4 or 5 best American defensemen.
So it is that style thing. It's the style thing. Like Adam Fox doesn't make it. Lane Hutson doesn't make it because they're similar types of dudes.
Seth Jones does.
Exactly. So, okay. I am whatever. At least it's not bias.
So anything on Caulfield then? Robertson's been the obvious guy to get cut. If this team can't score goals, Caulfield will be the other guy that's brought up.
If Caulfield was hot lately, I'd have a monstrous grievance with it. The fact that he's been slow down Caulfield, look, he should be there over probably JT Miller, probably Trocheck, as I said earlier. Nelson's been really good, and he's a different type of player, and they might prefer that stylistically. Larkin's a really smart player. You got to bring him. I'm looking at this list. Boldy's sick. Kyle Connor's a just better version of Caulfield, who's taller in terms of a sniper. Eichel has to be there. Gensel, is that the... Gensel's good. You know what? Gensel's good. No, look, there's too many skilled forwards for the USA. And if, like, we can't be greedy. Suzuki made it. Kapanen made it. Caulfield didn't. One of those guys gets to rest. It did wonders for them last year. Like, speaking selfishly, like we've been talking about Team Canada, and obviously we're Canadian. We want Team Canada to win all this stuff. We're happy Suzuki's going. It's better for the team. That being said, do you worry at all that he won't get that bump from the break, and by extension of that, Caulfield will? So I'm happy about that.
It's honestly it's Hutson and Caulfield getting the. Look, at the end of the day, it's 85% of the team's going to be getting time off. I can't imagine Jakob Dobish is going to be the starter.
No, he won't start. If he goes at all,
if he is even on the team, yeah.
Yeah. No, he'll be the third if he
And
makes
then, exactly. So it's Suzuki will get games. Suzuki will, so he'll play. Slafkovsky will be a huge part of Team Slovakia. It's fine. I think if anything for Nick, this is in the same way that not making the Four Nations like really got him going towards the end of the year. I think it'll be the same induction, like catalyst, I should say, of like, oh, I do. Last year was like, you guys don't think I belong. I do belong. This year is damn right I belong.
Damn right I belong. And
I think it's gonna have the same effect.
Yeah.
On Team USA, like, how is their center? Like, what's the center depth to the point where Brock Nelson has to make the team? Is he even going to be playing center? Because like, okay,
I think if you're bringing him, the plan is for him to play center.
And then what? You're bumping Larkin, Thompson, who's getting bumped.
I think
off
it's
to the wing
Thompson
there?
actually. It might be Thompson because
Eichel Matthews is 1-2. Okay, cool, done.
yeah. Is
Right?
it also a contingency plan in case Matthews is beaten up to the point where he's not even like serviceable as a center, and you just throw him on the wing, less defensive responsibility, just be the shooter. That being said, the shot is gone, so. I don't know. I actually like Nelson didn't jump off the page at me as like this guy doesn't deserve it. He is getting the Avalanche bump.
I was gonna say he has the Colorado glow,
Yeah.
and we saw Hockey Canada not take the goalies despite the Colorado glow. Like he's there. Obviously, Devon Taves is there.
Mm-hmm.
They still have guys. They're gonna still have half a dozen guys at the Olympics at least. That was the name to me. It was Brock Nelson. I was like, huh. It's
Okay.
like, again, like if it's Eichel Matthews 1-2, and then you have, well, like Canada, like 6 other guys that can play center.
Yeah.
I would put probably Larkin Thompson in some order as my Larkin as my 4th,
Okay.
Tage as my 3rd, but then is Trocheck even playing at this point?
Trocheck is interesting because he's more versatile and more versatile. All these guys are stupid good. So like, yeah, maybe he's the 13,
and
14.
Jack Hughes as well.
And Jack, yeah, true. Yeah, man. Oof.
I just thought that Brock Nelson was interesting considering that like it feels like that spot's already taken by other guys, and then you just brought more and you left aside some of your best goal scorers.
Something to be said for
having
that,
said
man.
all that, like this team should be co-favorites with Canada, and nothing will dissuade me from thinking that until they are eliminated. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I was wrong. Like
Right.
they are still the scariest team to me. This exercise has told me Sweden is very scary. Finland's going to be a pain. Whoever plays Finland in a quarter or a semi is going to be like, damn it, these guys. And that'll go the same for Slovakia and Czechia. But I think that's a second tier. I think it's Canada, Sweden, USA in one tier, Finland, Slovakia, Czechia in the next tier.
So
And we'll see what happens.
I know it's like so unimportant at this moment, but like I'm not putting Finland with Sweden. Their goaltending is not as good, not even close. Like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, okay. Kevin Lankinen, okay. Jussi Saros, used to be. You know, like that's not that scary.
Yeah, they're tier 2.
Defend.
They're in the next tier.
But like Sweden's above them is what I'm saying. So like if it's
For sure.
I think it's maybe a 1A 1B. Like Canada USA 1A, Sweden 1B, Finland second tier, and then maybe they're in with like Slovakia. I don't know.
Again, we'll get to it in like a month or so when all the rosters are out and we get to see kind of like, oh crap, Switzerland's actually a little scary.
Right.
And then you properly see the German roster with Stützle and Draisaitl, and you're like, oh yeah, they forgot there's guys on that team too now.
Right.
And slowly you're gonna realize, like, look, Canada gets France, thankfully. So there's one
you know
gimme
what
game,
though,
but
man?
other than that, like it's
Dude, Texier could get some breakaways, man. That could be a close match.
all right, 7-1.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, well, let's wrap it there. Those are our 5 burning questions at the halfway point, which, hey, this is an Olympic year. We haven't had an Olympic year in a while, so it makes sense that at the halfway point you're talking Olympics, and we'll be sure to talk about that more going forward. Next week's episode, we want to do a mailbag. We've started getting some questions from people, so please keep sending them through. Spotify comments are great. YouTube comments are great. At Habsland Pod, Blue Sky is great. I think we also have an email, Brian. Neither of us know it off the top of our head. I believe it's habslandpod@gmail.com. So if you want to throw it there, send it over. And if you have our number, just text us. But we're not going to share that one online. Anyways, thank you for listening. We'll be back next Monday to keep discussing Montreal Canadiens. And until next Monday, go Habs.